As we head into summer vacation season, we have a group therapy situation that we needed your help on. And boy, did we get a reaction to this one. Our writer sends me, "Help me, Rhonda. I'm scheduled to take a 2-week long overdue vacation this summer. I have been working from home and we are starting to return to the office in a hybrid rotation in September. I know I need a break before I return to the office. However, my boss asked me to take my laptop on vacation with me to ensure that he can get in touch with me if anything comes up. How do I say no?" Now, as you can imagine, almost all of you recommended that the answer to this question be no. No is a sentence all by itself. So don't feel that you need to add anything to it or even say, "I'm sorry," because you're probably not sorry. And as several of you mentioned, vacation means you aren't working and are away from work. So you don't have to justify yourself. It is your time away from work and you need it to return to work rested and re-energized for what is coming. Now, Lori Jo Jaycox had a nice, simple line that I liked. She recommended that you say, "Hey, boss, this vacation is important and I need to disconnect from the office completely. I know you understand, so I will politely decline your request and leave my laptop at home." Now, quite a few of you also suggested that you could tell the boss that you're going off grid and will have no access to Wi-Fi. And while this may be true, most of the time it isn't. So I don't recommend you lie to your boss just so that you can avoid an uncomfortable conversation. Most of us have our cell phones available so that our families can reach us in times of emergency. So saying you're off the grid isn't the truth most of the time. Now, this is an opportunity to have a conversation about expectations and boundaries. And by telling a little white lie, you are just delaying the conversation. Will all of your vacations be off the grid? Not likely. So let's deal with it when we're faced with the situation and not dread it for the next time. Now, depending on where you live, many of our responses reminded you of the right to disconnect laws. These laws exist in France, Italy, Slovakia, the Philippines, and in Ontario in Canada. And I had several recommendations that you work with others on your team to ensure that you do have the coverage so that you can disconnect. This way, if the boss needs something, they know who they can reach out to, and it isn't you. Obviously, you'll need to cover for them while they're on vacation so that they can also disconnect. Michelle Frame from Nanaimo, BC says that if you don't have someone to cover for you, you could always recommend hiring a temp to cover for you while you're gone as well. And Lynn DeLuca from Akron, Ohio reminds you that you need to create a procedures manual so that others can stand in for you. And if you haven't created one, get on it so that you can get that vacation that you have earned and needed. Stephanie Hand from Harvey, Illinois says that she had a different approach that worked well. And I know that some of you can relate. Stephanie said that she sets expectations for when she could respond to emails or messages or be available to answer questions so that she didn't feel like she was on call while on vacation. So for Stephanie, that was first thing in the morning and at the very end of the day. She also recommended, really good tip, to defining what a true emergency was, such as a health travel emergency or a travel emergency or health and safety issues. She wouldn't consider scheduling or last minute requests as a true emergency and that others could handle them. As Donna Vendetti from Thorold, Ontario says, she takes her laptop on vacation, but she sets boundaries regarding checking her email. If she does need to take care of something, she tracks the time and gets the time back in her vacation account. Now, Dana Hoffman from Westlake, Ohio says that instead of getting the time back for the time that is used, you should be paid for it instead. You should say to your boss that if you're expected to be on call, you expected to be compensated for that. Now, you would need to negotiate two things. Number one, if you're even willing to do this, do you want to be on call? Do you want to be compensated? Because if you aren't, don't ask for it. They might agree to it. And then how are you going to say no? And number two, if you are okay to be compensated and work on call when you're on vacation, what is a reasonable pay rate? Is this regular time, double time, or overtime? What rate works for you? I'll take it a step further and recommend that if you take this route, you also need to determine the minimum billing period. Many companies have a minimum time that you would charge, such as 2 hours when someone is on call. So even if the situation can be handled in 15 minutes, you don't bill 15 minutes, you charge back the minimum of 2 hours or whatever it is that you agree on. And while the situation may have only taken you 15 minutes, your brain doesn't let go of the situation at minute 16. It has interrupted your vacation. Your family knows it has. And if you're willing to be paid for it, it should be calculated with the minimum time period. And even if you were never interrupted while on vacation, you were still on call and should be compensated for that, as your brain was always aware the boss could call you, which really isn't a vacation at all, is it? Josh Dutton de Beer from Milwaukee, Wisconsin says that he won't be checking in, but if there is something that is a true emergency, that the boss is allowed to text him. Again, be sure to identify what a true emergency is. And if you get a text and it isn't a true emergency, you might need to say no to it. Josh said this has happened to him only once while he was on vacation, and it was a travel emergency, and he was able to handle it. And Heidi Howard from Atlanta, Georgia, said that she overloads her boss with information that they will need before she goes on vacation. She creates folders with every day's appointments and all of the details. She has a meeting prior to vacation to review everything with them, and she does time her schedule to ensure that she isn't out of the office during important meetings and presentations. There are a lot of good tips here. Some of you are fine to take your laptop on vacation for a variety of reasons, and some of you are not. It is ultimately your choice. However, you do need to honor your choice. Our request was how to say no, and we have a lot of really good options for you to pick here. And be sure to enjoy your vacation.